uncharted and unfiltered, a journey back to you. I am so incredibly grateful to be here with you. I always look forward to these conversations so much. And a little bit of context, if you could see me right now, there are painters in the house. They're back to do some extra work, and we are so grateful to have them here. And I am recording this podcast in my closet, and I have all the things in the background. Anyway, it's not stopping me from having this conversation with you. Now, I want to talk to you today about something that I feel everyone has probably experienced at one point or another. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that just shouldn't be this hard? A situation where every logical step forward is met with a brick wall. And before you know it, you're spiraling, you're frustrated, you're indignant, and you're convinced that the universe is conspiring against you. That was me last week. I was all tangled up in a bureaucratic nightmare that had my ego in a full blown tantrum. Now, it might be hard to believe, but I'm going to give you a little bit of context here. Because here's what's interesting, right? Like the spiraling begins and then it turns into a maze. So let me back up. As a new returning resident of New Brunswick, I need a provincial healthcare card. Simple enough, right? Just apply, wait the standard 4 to 6 weeks, and done. Now that's great if everything goes smoothly. But have you ever noticed that life has this way of testing us when we least expect it? I'm hearing my own thoughts. I'm editing my own self as I'm having this conversation with you, where I'm like, oh, then Cynthia, it might be a really good idea for you to expect different things. And this is an example of what I want to talk about today, because when you aren't having your own back, when you make a decision about something, then you can come in and it's not such a great experience. Anyway, let me not get ahead of myself. Shortly after moving, I had a reaction to my hormone replacement therapy. I had edema in my legs. And when I say I had edema in my legs and I had this health thing happening, I mean, I had that unsettling feeling when you realize that your body isn't functioning the way that it should. My legs felt super heavy. They were swollen. It felt foreign. And my intuition was screaming, something isn't right. So now, like any rational person, I took action. I consulted a pharmacist, I stopped the medication immediately, and I reached out to my Ontario based nurse practitioner for guidance. And that's where the real test began. So days went by with no response. Every hour that passed, I felt more anxious, and my brain started running worst case scenarios. Now, when I finally got a requisition for blood work, I exhaled. I literally did in relief until I hit the next roadblock. And every call that I made to the local labs met with the same response: we can't help you. So I searched for a nurse practitioner in New Brunswick, no luck. So at every turn, I was told to apply for an NB Health link. But there's a catch here because you need to be an NB Medicare card holder in order to do that. So then I'm back at square one. All the times I'm back to square one. Then I was doing some researching and Googling, and I discovered that the local hospital could support out of province patients. So I booked the earliest available appointment, which was March 14th, which was a full week away. This was the 7th that this all started. So when I arrived, I was confident that I would finally get my test done. I was hit with another no. They couldn't take my blood without a New Brunswick physician's signature. And when I asked why, I was told a couple of things. Those are the rules. And they explained that if my blood work showed anything urgent, that there wouldn't be an NB New Brunswick doctor on file to call. So the solution? Go to the urgent care clinic because only urgent cases get attention. But in my case, while medically necessary, because I was having this experience, it wasn't urgent. So I went there on Friday, which is when this is like the culminating incident that I'm about to talk to you about. So I went to the urgent care on Friday, and because it was urgent care and because my situation wasn't urgent, I was at the bottom of the list. And I could see that as I saw the people coming in for care, that I was going to be at the bottom of the list all day. So at this point, my frustration had hit a peak. I will tell you, I was angry. I was angry at the system. I was angry at the rules. And I was angry at the helplessness of it all. And I know that I wasn't just frustrated at healthcare, it was deeper. That was a reflection of something that I needed to look at for myself. So I want to pause here because this is where I see so many leaders, myself included, get stuck. When we feel powerless, our instinct is to resist, to judge, to blame, and to bring other people along for the ride. And in that judgment, here's what we create: separation. So inside of my head, I was making myself the righteous victim and the system the villain. Here's what it sounded like in my head. Are you kidding me? How is this even a system? This is ridiculous. How is this so hard? This isn't fair. Why does everything have to be a fight? And on it went. I was swimming in the belief that this shouldn't be happening. And when I'm swimming in that belief, that means that it's wrong. That these people, the receptionists, the hospital staff, the administrators, were wrong. But here's what I've learned. Whenever we are in judgment, we are reinforcing separation. Judgment tells a story of me versus them. It makes someone wrong so we can be right. And in doing so, we lose sight of the bigger picture. Now, I wasn't seeing the human beings behind the system. I mean, I was, and I held some judgment about it. The overworked staff, the people who wanted to help but had rules tying their hands, the ones caught in a structure that they did not create. Personally, for me, I was stuck in resistance. And when we're in resistance, we are not leading. What are we doing instead? We're reacting. And so the breakthrough, like I wanted to talk about what I did here. That night, I knew that I had to shift my state. So I turned to the practices that I've relied on time and time again when my mind wants to fight reality. And if you can hear that hammering or banging, I apologize ahead of time. I'm just recording the podcast. This is the way you get to today. So here's what I did. First, I started with tapping. I tapped through the frustration, the helplessness, the it's not fair story that I was telling myself. And I was releasing it layer by layer. And I had to do this a couple of times. Then I went into my sadhana practice. I sat in silence, breathing deeply, reconnecting to the part of me that knows. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. All of this is happening for me, not to me. I know that. I believe that. I just lost sight of that. And then the third piece was journaling. And this is where the real clarity landed and started to drop in for me. The next morning, as I put pen to paper, something clicked. I started connecting the dots of everything that I've been learning about superconscious intuition, that higher intelligence that is always available, or the sage mind. I've talked about it before as the sage mind. But that's only available to us when we're open enough to receive it. So as I reflected, I saw exactly which universal laws were at play for me here. The very first one was the law of mentalism. Everything is mind. My suffering was coming from my own thinking. The system didn't make me feel powerless. I made myself feel powerless through my thoughts about the system. The second law, the law of correspondence, as within, so without. The frustration that I felt inside was reflected back at me in the external world. Every call, every encounter was mirroring my own inner resistance. And this is just an interesting side note because that will also show itself in my body. And so the resistance is quite possibly what's creating the edema. This brings me to the law of vibration. Everything has frequency. We're all energy. We're all frequency here. And frustration and judgment are lower frequency states. So the solution for me, I had to shift my energy before I could shift my experience. And when I saw things this way, the charge started to dissolve. Yes, the system is flawed. I think everybody would agree with that. And I don't think it actually matters where you live. And fighting it isn't going to fix it. I had to find a different way through. So, of course, I was not a total Zen master. I had my moments of snapping at my husband, who, by the way, was just trying to help. And so, love, if you're listening, I'm sorry again. You did not deserve that. And thankfully, I got the best kind of reset. I got to see my son, my daughter in law, and our two grandsons. We planned to go for a walk, but the weather had other ideas. So instead, we found ourselves at a cozy brunch spot, sipping coffee, watching the boys giggle and wiggle all over the place, in and out of their seats. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. This is life. One moment you're fighting bureaucracy, feeling stuck and powerless, and the next you're laughing over brunch, surrounded by love. Both are real. The question is, where are you choosing to put your focus? Now, if you want to work together, if this episode resonated with you, if you're navigating a transition, if you're feeling frustrated or need a reset on how you approach leadership, I would love to support you. I work one-on-one with new emerging and high potential leaders who are ready to step out of their negativity and into clarity, confidence, and impact. You don't have to stay stuck in loops of frustration and judgment, and neither did I. There is a better way. Let's find it together. Send me a DM or reach out through the link in the show notes. And until this time next week, take very good care of yourself and have a great one. Bye. I hope that you're walking away feeling more aligned with your true self, more confident in the choices ahead, and ready to leave the safe path behind, knowing you've got everything you need within. Remember, the journey to you isn't about finding one perfect direction. It's about trusting yourself enough to explore all of it. If you're ready to dive deeper, join me for the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss the next step on your path. I invite you to join my mailing list at www.cynthiajamesoncoach.ca, where we'll deepen our relationship and you can claim your copy of Your Inner Compass, a guide to charting your course to authenticity. Until next time, stay unfiltered, stay true, and most importantly, stay you.